Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. My name's Eric Pate. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Racing with Eric Pate. I'm your host, Eric Pate. And it is your weekly racing retail pit stop for you race fans. Well, I don't know how many of you are actually race fans, like myself. And here is what we are going to be discussing this week. Also, you probably noticed by the thumbnail of this video and thumbnail of the last Let's Talk Racing with Eric Pate, we have a logo. I generated that logo, and I could just, and you guys hear me say your weekly racing retail pit stop for fans. That is our new slogan for the series. So I just want to go and get into detail about that a little bit. For the logo, all three logos, as you probably can kind of tell, are all the same but different colors, kinda. Bronze is going to be, as you saw, is used for this video due to the winning cup manufacturer won in Homestead. Toyota is going to be the red color, the red background, red everything, and blue is going to be used for Ford. Let's go ahead and get into the topics of discussion for today. As always, every time it's going to be result and point standings, updated point standings. Real quick, if only two series run on a particular weekend, or only one series runs on a particular weekend, or between whatever, we are only going to go in discussion of the two series with points and point standings. The results for my picks, big stories, and the big move of the race, which we'll be using the TV for, as you are going to see later on in this video. For the Dash for Cash, the winner for Dash for Cash, the format for it, like how you become eligible to get the Dash for Cash, and then the 4 players for next week. Any penalties in race do not count. What I mean is, like, a speeding penalty, I am not count. Like, if you guys, like, you keyboard warriors, just go in, wasted all these speeding penalties. Speeding penalties, or driving too fast, or driving through too many pit boxes. I'm not gonna waste my time and discuss them, because it happened about like 20 times a race, and it's basically, we're basically gonna have to. I basically might have to buy a second whiteboard if we're gonna do that. Or might buy a bigger whiteboard, which I'm actually thinking about buying anyway. So, how to race Martinsville. Now, I'm going to show you with a drawing. And then there's one part of the how to race Martinsville I am going to say that might be better if we take a look on what happened. What happened twice at Martinsville. If you think if you think what it is, I will let you know when we get to that part. And then a reminder on how I make my picks. That's going to be in every video. And my pick for the Martinsville race this weekend. Let's go ahead and get into the first topic. Alright, so I want to try something out for this podcast today. I'm going to see if we can actually adjust my whiteboard a little bit here. I am actually going to see if I can do like a time lapse or whatever, and see if I can do one, because I decided we watched the podcast from last week, and I realized that I was a little disorganized when it went to the results and point standings. So we're just gonna do one series at a time. Yes, it's gonna be a little bit more longer for me to write and whatnot, but hey, that's what we gotta do. So, here's how it's gonna go. Me looking at the board, or you guys looking at the board. The left side is gonna be the top 10. The right side is gonna be the top 3 in each stage, and our fastest lap of the race. Anyway, I'm gonna, above it though, in the series, the main color, I decided to use black for the Cup Series. I'm going to be using red for trucks, and then Xfinity is going to be purple. As Xfinity in Cup, no, Xfinity in Trucks, they have a main color. Trucks is red, Xfinity is purple. And then, so I just thought maybe using black for Cup. Anyway, Straight Talk Wireless 400 top 10 results, top 3 in the stages, and then our fastest lap of the race. I meant to put a star by Bubba Wallace's name, but you'll find out why I should put a star next to Bubba Wallace. Why I should put a star next to Bubba Wallace's name at the end of this part. Anyway, Kyle Larson won the race. Alex Bowman was second. Bubba Wallace was third. Chase Briscoe was fourth. Denny Hamlin was fifth. Sixth was Chris Buescher. Seventh was AJ Allmendinger. Eighth was Tyler Reddick. Ninth was Ryan Preece. 10th was Justin Haley. Our Stage 1 top 3 were Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe. Stage 2 was Denny Hamlin won second stage. Kyle Larson was second. Ryan Blaney was third. The reason why Bubba Wallace's name should have a star next to it is because Bubba Wallace was our Xfinity fastest lap of the race with a time of 32.335 seconds. Let's get to the Xfinity results. Hopefully that turns out real well. I am gonna, like, before I go and edit, I'm gonna do 2 different edits. I'm gonna edit with the hyperlapse for both trucks and whatnot. For all this real quick, so let's see how well it turns out. And then if it doesn't turn out too well, I will drop the hyperlapse of me writing down the race results, and we'll also have a hyperlapse for the points. Anyway, so here's how the race results ended up being. Justin Allgaier was our race winner. He has a star next to his name. You probably know why. If you paid attention to the last part where I didn't put a star next to Bubba Wallace, because Justin Allgaier was our fastest lap. We'll get to that in just a second. Sam Mayer was second. Austin Hill was third. Fourth was Kyle Larson. Fifth was Sheldon Creed. Sixth was Jesse Love. Seventh was Brendan Jones. Eighth was Nick Sanchez. Ninth was Daniel Dye. 10th was Carson Quapple. Stage 1, our top 3 was Sidney Smith, Kyle Sieg, and Ryan Sieg. Stage 2 was Kyle Larson, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed for the top 3. Our fastest lap, like I just said, was Justin Allgaier with a time of 33.494 seconds. Now, let's go on another hyperlapse for the trucks. All right. So for the trucks, we had Kyle Larson, our winner. Lane Riggs second. Corey Heim third. Corey Heim actually had some trouble with his truck after it kept shutting off on him towards the end of the race. Tyler Ankrum fourth. Daniel Hemrick fifth. Sixth, Ross Chastain. Seventh, Jake Garcia. Why the hell did my hockey... Did not expect my hockey table to turn on. Now you guys know I have a hockey table. I got it from a friend of mine. Where were we? Okay, let's restart this. Let's restart. Kyle Larson won the race. Lane Riggs second. Third, Corey Heim. Fourth, Tyler Reddick. Fifth, Daniel Hemrick. Sixth, Ross Chastain. Seventh, Jake Garcia. Eighth, Chandler Smith. Ninth, Greg Enfinger. 10th was Caden Honeycutt. Stage 1 was Corey Heim, Kyle Larson, Lane Riggs. Stage 2 was Corey Heim, Kyle Larson, Ty Majeski. I thought about just writing Ty Majeski's name because the top 2 was the same for both stages. And then our fastest lap of the race was Ross Chastain with a time of 32.543 seconds. I am not going to do hyperlapse to get the next part going, so I can let my phone charge up a little. So we will still do it for the, as we're switching series, we'll still do the hyperlapse or whatever. So only going to be during, like when we're switching to another series, is when the hyperlapse is going to happen. I'll be right back for the Cup current points. Alrighty, now let's get into the top 10 Currently in the point standings for the 3 series. Cup Series, we got William Byron at 244 points with his Daytona 500 victory. Kyle Larson with 208 points with his latest victory at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Alex Bowman has 205 points. Tyler Reddick has 189 points. Fourth in points, by the way. Christopher Bella is fifth in points, with 186 points with his wins at Atlanta, Coda, and Phoenix. Chase Elliott has 181 points. Bubba Wallace has 166 points. Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher are 8th and 9th with 164 points. Denny Hamlin has more top 5s than Chris Buescher, so I gave him the tiebreaker, give him the 8th place. Ryan Blaney has 162 points. Our only other winner this year, I should have written him on here. Our only other winner this year was Josh Berry with the win in Las Vegas from last weekend. Time for a quick time lapse for the Xfinity points. Alrighty, Xfinity side of things. We have Justin Allgaier with 249 points with 2 wins one win at Vegas, 1 win at Homestead. 2 weeks in a row, he checked off a track that he has not won at. Sid Meier has 220 points, I believe is right. If you want to know what's right here in my hand, it's a cheat sheet. So I decided to make myself a little cheat sheet here. So that in the time lapse, that's what I'm looking at. 220 points. Jesse Leff has 218 points with his Daytona win. Austin Hill has 202 points with his win at Atlanta. Sheldon Creed has 187 points. Sammy Smith has 184 points. Karna Zilic has 164 points with his win from Circuits of the Americas. Ryan Seega has 156 points. Taylor Gary 151 points. And Harrison Burton with 145. The one person I did not put on here who did win this year, he's only a part-timer, and that was Eric Almirola. Time-lapse time. Alright, Truck Series points looks like this. Now, due to so far only one of our truck regulars have won this season, I decided not to write 1 win. Or no, 2 wins, because he has 2 wins. Since only one of our regulars have won, and the other 2 were the Kyles of Larson and Busch. Anyway, so here are how things are shaping with the Truck Series size of points. And if you hear something scratching in the background, that's my cat. Anyway, Corey Heim has 177 or 171. What did I write? 77. And like I said, he is actually our person who has our only full-time Truck Series driver that has won races this year. And they came at Daytona in Vegas, the first and third race of the year for them. Ty Majeski, 169 points. Chandler Smith, 150 points. Gannon Finger, 149 points. Stuart Friesen, 138 points. I did not put the points. I did not write down the points next to Ankrum and Hamrick, Riggs, and Garcia and Honeycutt. So I just say, so good thing, like I said, good thing I have a cheat sheet right here. Ankrum has 127 points. Lane Riggs has 122 points. Jake Garcia has 103 points. And Caden Honeycutt has 101. I'll be back here in just a second for the review on how my picks did. Now, how my picks did for the weekend. Again, I am using my cheat sheet as well, just in case I did forget to write something on here. So, Kyle Larson, like I said, won this race. He was one of my picks. He got his second vote. We're going to this weekend. I'll say this right now. We're going to another track that has a kind of unique trophy, a grandfather clock. Anyway, Alex Bowman, after an insane battle with Kyle Larson, we're not going to watch the full battle. We're just going to watch the last part of the battle where he smacked the wall and whatnot. He got home second. Denny Hamlin ended up getting fifth. Tyler Reddick, who's the defending winner of this race, was 8th. Daniel Suarez got home to 22nd. Christopher Bell, who caused the first caution, was 29th. Got home in 29th. And then Ryan Blaney, the dominant car early, that had the most laps, 124 at that point, exploded an engine and got 36th. Now, I'll go ahead and write down the stories. Well, a summary of the stories. And we'll read it off the cheat sheet though. About, or do we want to do, I'll write down one story. And then, I am not going to do a timeout to writing the second one because the second story is a little bit longer, so, and move of the race. And then, like I said, we will watch the move of the race here in just about a minute for you guys. For me, it's going to probably be like close to 15-20. Alrighty, so the two biggest stories that came out the weekend was in the Cup race. Blaney was the dominant car of the day. Led 124 laps. Then at lap 207, while I think he was running third, with about 60 to go, he blew an engine. Ended up catching on fire, was towed back to the garage, and was out of the race. And then Kyle Larson was trying to go for the weekend sweep. He, as you guys know already, he successfully got 2 other races. We're actually about to watch on how he did not get the second one, the middle race. So his 4th place finish at Homestead and Xfinity race was sandwiched by 2 wins. Friday night in the truck race, Sunday afternoon in the Cup race. He was on route to get all 3 of them. He's going to try this again at Bristol. But the truck one did not come easy. He spun 44 laps to go, while I think running third, but somehow came back and still won after Corey Heim had some trouble with his truck. And then, like I said, he was en route to win the Xfinity race. Then 8 to go, Taylor Gray spun. Instead of me going into detail here on how he lost the lead in overtime, we're actually going to take a look here on what happened for him to eventually lose this race and end up finishing 4th. And then we're going to take a look at the Cup finish. Well, not exactly the Cup finish, but like the move of the race that basically handed Kyle Larson the win. So I'm going to give my little bit of my own analysis on this finish here. So they come back to green with 2 laps to go. Okay, Kyle Larson is this car. This car is Austin Hill. Now behind Austin Hill is Justin Allgaier. So we can clearly see Larson spun the tires on this restart as they head off into turn 1. Okay, now Hill takes the lead after Larson spun the tires, but Larson is now back in the game. But Justin Allgaier keeps on trying to fight Austin Hill as now they head down the backstretch. Now they're side by side going down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Allgaier looks like he's going to get a little bit of advantage, but Austin Hill actually has that little bit of the advantage. Now it goes right back to Allgaier as they come around turn 4. Now Hill is going to drag race Allgaier. They take the white flag. Hill takes the white flag. And then Allgaier is going to try his best to clear Austin Hill. Austin Hill goes up the track. This basically where Justin Allgaier won this race is as they were in turns 1 and 2. He goes down the backstretch for the last time, enter 3 and 4, and it looks like Justin Allgaier is going to win this race. Now, I want to see something. I wonder if I missed something, because when Allgaier took the checkered flag, apparently lap 201 was where Justin Allgaier win the fastest lap of the race. The only lap in overtime. Sorry, my smoke detector goes off when I'm cooking, and that's a plastic bag over it, so sorry about that. So, now, I'll be back in just a second, and we'll take a look at the move of the cup race that caused Kyle Larson to win. Now, for this part, we're only going to watch one lap. Now, Kyle Larson, he was pressuring Alex Bowman, trying to put some intense pressure on Alex Bowman. Intense pressure, as we were coming to the end of this race. So now we're going to take a look on what happened, on how basically Alex Bowman gave this race to Kyle Larson. Alright, so coming to 7 laps to go. Now, they've been battling pretty intensely, we'll say for the last 5 laps or so, okay? They're running the high line, both drivers. Kyle Larson has probably met the wall a good 20 times during this race. Now, I'm going to pause it for a second. I mentioned in last week's episode that towards the, later on in the race, at the beginning of the race, you want to run in this line. At the beginning. But, as the race progresses, Homestead is known for all the lanes to start opening up in the turns. Anyway, we're about to take a look on what happens if you're not as good, if you don't pay attention as good as Kyle Larson does to the wall, because Alex Bowman does not pay as good attention. They go off in 3 and 4, coming to 6 laps to go now, and Bowman is still basically riding the wall, and then all of a sudden, boom, right, really hard into the wall. Here comes Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson takes the lead and basically runs off with the win. All right, back to the whiteboard. All right, so earlier on, I should probably move that a little. Earlier on in this video, I mentioned something about Dash for Cash when we were going over the topic. So we are going to go ahead and talk about what it is. It's basically how I put it, it's the all-star portion for the Xfinity Series. Now, instead of just one event, there are 4 events. And okay, I thought that was my phone ringing. That's just a plane flying low overhead. There's an airport literally a mile up the road from where I am. So anyway, so how they did it in the past was they did 220 lap segments. I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, on how they used to do the Dash for Cash. And then the rest of the race, and then the top 2 from each segment when I was eligible for the last portion of the race. Now, there's a new way they do it, and I think this way is a lot better because we already know who is going to be racing for the Dash for Cash in the Xfinity Series. So, top 4 regulars are eligible from the previous race. No, from Vegas were eligible, and they were Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer, Austin Hill, and Jesse Love. I almost put Jesse Love where Sheldon Creed's name is, but that was because I swore Jesse Love was 4th, but it turned out I was wrong. Good thing I wrote down my cheat sheet. The highest finisher of the 4 gets you $100,000. So it's a lot the way I'm going to put it, it's a lot like the championship race. Xfinity Series championship race is the highest finisher of the 4 Xfinity drivers, Dash for Cash drivers. They get $100,000. That's exactly how the championship race is done. Is the highest finisher of the 4 drivers is the champion. Anyway, the Dash for Cash winner and then the next 3 regulars in line are eligible for Dash for Cash. So regardless on, we'll say Justin Allgaier finishes 25th, Sam Mayer finishes 23rd, Austin Hill finished 24th, and Sheldon Creed finishes dead last. Sam Mayer, who I said finishes 23rd, gets $100,000 because he was the highest of the 4. Now, Sam Mayer also is automatically for Darlington is going to get will be qualified for Dash for Cash. And then the top 3 regulars in the Xfinity Series are also eligible for Dash for Cash in Darlington. Homestead, Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol are the rounds. I'm going to say this in every Dash for Cash event. And the cycle repeats until we take the check flag in Bristol. Here are the 4 drivers eligible this weekend and how they got in on eligibility. Justin Allgaier was first in both. That means he won the race to get it done. But I don't think he had to win the race. But as we literally just saw just a couple minutes ago, Larson spun the tires, and Allgaier took advantage of it to get his first Homestead win. I mean, that's the first time he actually, I think, finished in the top 10 at Homestead. Or was it top 5? Somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong on that. Sam Mayer was second in both. Austin Hill was second in both, and third in both. Which means, and then Sheldon Creed, Kyle Larson separated Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill, and Kyle Larson's a Cup regular, as I think I previously stated in this video. So now, let's get to the next part, our penalties report and how to race Martinsville. We'll also draw it out, and there's something I did say about Martinsville, that we're going to watch 2 examples of it, the 2 most well-known examples of it. If you think we're going to talk about the Ross Chastain wall ride here in just a few minutes, you will be correct. So for this next part, I decided to combine 2 sections because one section, we don't really have a whole lot to talk about. I mean, unless you want to include all the in-race penalties, which in this podcast we are not doing, because that's probably going to take up 2 or 3 of these whiteboards, like I said in the beginning. And then we're also going to talk about, well, I'm no racing expert. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. I've never driven a car at Martinsville. I have virtually, but that doesn't really count. So we're actually you guys are about to see another time lapse of me building my best version of Martinsville with the wooden tracks we had from the video labeled all my racing stuff I do have. So Daniel Dye, Anthony Alfredo, Williams Watch, and Austin Hill all got the same penalty over the weekend, and that was they had a loose lug nut. How to race Martinsville? Now, on straightaways, there's no right or wrong way for the straightaways at Martinsville. Well, really, at all tracks, there's no right or wrong way to race them. There's no right or wrong way to race them. Again, like I said, I'm no racing expert. I'm literally not. So, anyway, now Martinsville, you can race basically anywhere on the straightaways. I sometimes race the bottom when I'm playing NASCAR Heat, but do not race too low do not race, how should I put this? On the backstretch, you do not want to race super close to the inner fence. Well, besides, and then in turns, you don't want to race on the grass. But anyway, what I'm saying is on the backstretch, if you do want to race the bottom, don't race too close to the bottom because you could accidentally put yourself in pit row. So you do not want to do that, especially at Martinsville, where if you could easily go down 2 laps on just a regular green flag stop, so you could easily go down 2 or 3. Might have to do some bumper runs. I'll show you an example of that. I did this on purpose with the 2 cars I chose for the bumper runs, and I will demonstrate you guys with the diecast on how to race this track for a couple laps. This is a big one. Now, again, same thing with straightaways. If you have to race closer to the top, try to get around somebody if you can, great. There's one thing you don't want to do, and that is you don't want to do a wall ride. Well, actually watch an example of a Martinsville wall ride probably within the next 5 minutes. Alrighty. You guys want to see another time lapse of something here? Well, I don't care if you guys are getting it. So again, this is my best interpretation of Martinsville. What we are gonna do is the outer wooden lane. The outer wooden lane is gonna be the bottom lane, and then like a good maybe we'll say hand length apart, like how my hand is right now. Is these two fingers will be the middle lane, and then these two fingers will be the top lane. Actually, I need something for reference to use for top lane. Hold on. Alright, so since I didn't... Let's move that piece of trash out of the way. So since I didn't really have anything else to use as reference a cord long enough, I grabbed my wire bin microphone cord, and that's what we're going to use instead. So, the rock bin microphone cord is going to be the wall. Okay? Again, the section between the two wooden tracks will be so-called pit row. You will enter pit row about right here, and then you'll come out about right here on pit row rise. And then the carpet to the cord is gonna, well, the cord's not very straight, so, but anyway, the cord is gonna be the wall, and then the carpet in the outer wooden track will be the lanes. Now, let's just demonstrate the different lanes with just one card. So what I mean is like, okay, so start finish line is right here where my finger is. I drew it. You can't see it, but I drew it there. So I decided to use Kyle Larson for this example. Okay, so you can race the top if you want, but it's a good idea to immediately go to the bottom or middle. Now, let's say he goes to the bottom completely. To race around, and then back on the straightaway, and then to the bottom again, going through the corners. Alright? Now, sometimes, if you know me by now, I have a little bit of beef with this guy. Alright? So let's say we're on lap 400 or 400, okay? Actually, why not? Why not? Because Larson has already won a 400 lap race at Martinsville. Hamlin has yet to win a 400 lap race at Martinsville. So let's say they're all at 500. White flag has waved. Sometimes you might have to do this to win a race. So they're going in the final corner. Sometimes, watch what I do with Hamlin. Sometimes you might have to do that, get him out of the groove, and then Hamlin comes around. Now, I will say they're both going about the same speed here, but they come around and take the checkered, and Hamlin wins. But we'll say this instead, though. Let's say Hamlin does this instead. Okay? He drives it against the wall, and then as they go through the final corners, and then he just drives it all the way around the fence. Hamlin takes the lead, takes the checkered flag. But here's the thing, though. Hamlin will get penalized if he's in the corner, driving full speed, almost full speed around the wall, taking the checkered flag like that, after what we're about to watch happened. So Kyle Larson will really be declared the race winner here if Hamlin wants to do that this week and what we just saw. So let's take a look. We'll take a look at Chastain's first. So we're gonna watch the one's camera on this in-car camera, the wall of his wall ride. There was a couple good shots, but I think the one shot is kind of like we're gonna see like what from his perspective on what happened in Martinsville in 2022. So he comes to 3 and 4. He got to get to him. He needs 2 more points. He puts it against the fence and just drives all the way through the corners and managed to pass 6 cars doing that. And he made the transfer doing that. Let's take a look at Bell's won. Now, from now on, this is outlawed. Ever since this happened, it is outlawed. And that's why, like, with the example we just did with Hamlin and Larson, with Hamlin riding the wall and passing Larson, I said, well, Larson will be declared the winner because Hamlin rode the wall. Now, this one, I don't know why it took him 30 minutes. It did kind of look clear to me after 5 that, yeah, Bell did do this. So, let's take a look at Christopher Bell's wall ride. Okay, so this is the best video I can find, so it's a little bit of a YouTube reel. So let's take a close look here on what happened. So Bell, by the way, Bell just needed one more point. Just one, not 2. So he gets side by side with the 23 of Bubba Wallace. So Bubba Wallace clips him. Then when he got it, he did floor it. He did floor it, and they did disqualify Christopher Bell for making the championship for doing that. One last thing, you guys want to know what? Why don't we end off this video with one last time lapse? Alrighty, so my picks for the week. I decided to go into this last. We can take that down now. I decided to go in this last section a little bit with the time lapse. Anyway, again, to remind y'all, I do betting odds, the favorites, and last year's the exact race from the exact race going into this year from last year, even if it's in another part of the season. Now, Mexico City. When we do Mexico City in June, I believe that's when that is. We'll verify. We will do the other types of tracks. Anyway, and then the current point standings. So these are my picks for Martinsville. I feel like William Byron is the favorite to win. Now, these are my picks are not going to change, regardless on what a betting odds said and whatnot, because I feel like these. Now, normally I do 5, but I decided to throw in a 6 because I was indecisive on which one I should have each, and Kyle should pick 5 and pick 6. So anytime that happens, is I am just gonna make the 6th spot if I really cannot decide. Make a 6th spot, and because of that. Anyway, so I feel like William Byron's the favorite to win this race. And then Ryan Blaney won 2 of the last 3 times we were in Martinsville. Chase Elliott does have a Martinsville win, and the first time we did a 400 lap race at Martinsville, he started off as being the dominant car of the race. Kyle Larson does have a win on the 400 lap race at Martinsville. I feel like he could say something, and it just seems like when Kyle Larson wins, he gets dangerous. And then Denny Hamlin, you're gonna have to go with hometown kid here. I mean, he's pretty good at Martinsville, and he could possibly go ahead and get his, I think, 6th grandfather clock. I think it's going to happen here soon. And then my 2 dark horses, I picked Ryan Preece because a couple years ago, the dominant car of the race, of the 400 lap race in Martinsville, was Ryan Preece. And then dark horse number 2, I've been picking him a lot lately for dark horse because I just feel like it's going to happen. He's going to pull a major upset here soon. He almost did in Atlanta, and then but I think it's going to happen. I think Carson Holzbauer is going to win himself a race before this season's done. So those are my picks, and check flags in the air, and I'll see you guys next week.